As Kirby Smart told Stetson Bennett after the Bulldogs' narrow win in Missouri, yeah, sometimes it's fairy tale land and you're beating everybody by 50. Other times, it's just a different story. Hey everybody, this is Sarah Spencer with the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, and this is Know Your Dogs. To help me preview Saturday's game against Auburn, I'll be joined by Georgia coach Kirby Smart, wide receiver and return man Kirby Jackson, and my colleague, our Georgia beat writer Chip Towers. So stay with us. Georgia fell to number 2 in the polls this week after needing a fourth quarter comeback to beat Missouri, and the Bulldogs have given up 44 points over the past 2 weeks. But if you ask Coach Kirby Smart, that does not mean they're in a funk. And in fairness, hey, a win is a win, and Georgia is still undefeated.
I don't look at it as you're in a hitting slump or some kind of funk or anything like that, because a lot of that's predicated off what the other team does and what we do. Very different teams we faced between Kent State and 3-down, Missouri, and the way they played us, just different things. So I don't really look at it that way. Some of those youthful anxiety, guys playing in that kind of atmosphere for the first time. Where a team, last year's team, they would have played in that a bunch of times. So there's a lot of youth there, but to be honest with you, it was a great opportunity to see what we're about, because I don't know that you could find any greater adversity than be down 10 points in the fourth quarter, resiliency, all those things. But we got to make sure that we do a good job building on that and that we start faster and better.
At 159.4 rushing yards per game, Auburn's actually number 9th in the SEC in rushing. But that ground attack is still something Kirby Smart wants the Bulldogs to look out for. Auburn has a mobile quarterback in Robbie Ashford, and they've also got 2 running backs, Tank Bigsby and Jarquez Hunter, who Smart called 2 of the best running backs in the conference.
When you chart the number of broken tackles those 2 guys have had together, it's as much as anybody in our conference. And you package that with a quarterback who is super fast and really elite. You've got 3, tackling is going to be at a premium in this game because they're big physical guys, including the quarterback, that you got to wrap up and knock back tackles. So I've been very impressed with the backs.
Georgia is 30 for 31 in the red zone so far, but 11 of those scores are actually field goals. Kirby Jackson told me, on one hand, yes, they love that they can rely on kicker Jack Podlesny, who actually scored the Bulldogs' first 12 points in that win against Missouri and kept them in it. But on the other hand, they would like to be able to polish off these possessions with a touchdown.
Pod came up so clutch. With those field goals that he made, we couldn't score in the red zone, but Pod was able to, give us those points that we needed, and we was able to lean on him much and more each and every week, because the more the offense can't score in the red zone, the more Pod got to be golden lead for us. So, but we can't be putting that much pressure on him as an offense, because when we're in the red zone, we got to be able to score points. We haven't been efficient enough in the red area, so with Pod coming in and making those clutch field goals, it's been great for our team, and we still stand on him each and every day because you know how important he is and what role he is playing.
All right, everybody, let's bring in our Georgia beat writer, my coworker Chip Towers. Chip, you would not really guess that after 2 wins, the feeling around the program, maybe more so the fan base, would be this maybe disappointed. But I guess maybe they weren't expecting Georgia to give up 22 points 2 games in a row. What have you seen from that?
Yeah, it's an odd number, isn't it? 22 points, and Georgia gave it up two weeks in a row, and that's way too much. And really, I kind of want to tell Georgia people to cheer up a little bit.
You wore your happy print.
Yeah, here's a happy shirt, and I'm trying to say, hey, this is not high school football. You're playing Missouri on the road at night. You are number 1. Number 1 means you always get a team's best shot. And especially, I'm thinking about it this week. If Georgia's posted as a 30-point favorite over Auburn, these other teams, they know that. And you know what they think?
They probably don't love it.
Yeah, when they see 30 points, what? 30 points? Are you kidding me? So, my takeaway from Missouri was that, 14-point comeback in the fourth quarter. That's a big deal. That's what championship teams do. And I think Georgia fans need to focus on that. Now, they got issues. They're going to have to address those issues before they play Auburn this week down here. But it's not as bad as it seems. You're 5-0, man. You're ranked number 2 in the country. Be happy.
You know, it's true, and I hate to make an Alabama comparison because I know Georgia fans are not going to love this, but how many times have we seen teams give Alabama an amazing half?
Yeah.
And then Alabama does what Alabama does, you know, in the second half, especially that fourth quarter. But Chip, I did want to ask you, Missouri had some success against Georgia, and Kent State had a little bit of success against Georgia too. Again, nothing to panic about, but I'm just pointing it out that they have done some things that have put Georgia on its heels. Is there anything that Auburn can take note of and try to exploit?
Well, there's definitely some commonalities when you look at the two things. And you know, number one, Georgia's defense has given up some explosives. You look, 46-yard play, 38-yard play, 63-yard run. That Missouri, which a terrific tackle by Malachi Starks to stop it, but
Save the game.
I digress.
We're just going to give you the play-by-play and read it to you.
Those explosive plays, drive Kirby crazy. I mean, he's keeping it pretty cool, in front in public things, but I know it's in the background. These things drive him crazy. He hates it when big plays like that spit out. They got to shore that up, but there's some reasons for that too. They're able to run, and you got Auburn coming in here with Tank Bigsby, Jarquez Hunter, who's a very good back of his own right. Their quarterback is a great running quarterback. So these are some things that Auburn can exploit, and I'm sure they're thinking about it.
Tell me what you think about just big picture, how these two teams match up. I mean, you mentioned Robbie Ashford, quarterback for Auburn. I mean, he can run. Yeah,
he's a jet. I don't know. You got it's Auburn's being Auburn, again this year, like Auburn has been of late, and it's hard to know what you're going to get from them. They do not look like a very good team, definitely an inconsistent team. Mm-hmm. It's strange how they've started fast in every game, like they did against LSU last week, 21 unanswered points, and then they lose 24-21 in the second half. And Ryon Horne, I don't have a strong opinion on his ability to coach, right? Because he really hasn't had that opportunity at Auburn without all this other stuff coming up, going back to his first year during the pandemic season, and then what we saw last year. And, he survives a coup attempt, but right now we're on Ryon Horne watch. He could be fired, any minute. He could be, the word this week is he'll be fired if he loses to Georgia. That was the word last week when he lost to LSU. So that's kind of a mess, and you really can't expect a lot of consistency in that type of environment.
One question mark for Georgia is defensive lineman Jalen Carter will be out injured. He got injured in that Missouri game. And obviously, if you want to talk about Auburn's run game, I mean, that is something that could come into play.
That's something that I think is being exploited. I mean, think about if there's one person you really couldn't lose on this team coming in, maybe Stetson Bennett, and I hate to even verbalize that into the universe, but, Jalen Carter, your All-American defensive line, he was the reason when all those guys went to the NFL, everybody was like, yeah, but you got Jalen Carter coming back. And Jalen Carter, a lot of people, those guys who went to the NFL say Jalen Carter's better than all of us. And he might be, but we've seen him play less than 60 snaps this season, and that's a tough scenario for Georgia. Now he's going to be at least 2 to 4 weeks. I would suspect they'll try to get him back for the Florida game. In the meantime, opposing offenses, and Auburn's in particular, is going to look to exploit, that inside. Now, Zion Logue, certainly Nazir Stackhouse, young Bear Alexander, those guys are doing a good job, but they're not Jalen Carter, and they're certainly not Jordan Davis, Trammell, Trayvon Walker, all these other guys that are in the NFL right now.
Well, we'll see how it all shakes out Saturday. Chip, thank you so much for joining me.
You're welcome.
Thanks to all of you for watching. Make sure you go to ajc.com to watch more videos just like this.